Hey everyone, welcome to Homeschool, and we are with the wonderful chapter called Chemical Bonding of Class 10 ICSE Chemistry. And before we go to the chapter, you must be perfect with the chapter called Periodic Table. Hope you all are perfect with the chapter, the very first chapter of Class 10 Chemistry. If not, we have a wonderful videos in our channel about periodic table. You can go to the description box where you will find the related links of the periodic table chapter. So you can go to the links, get perfect with the concepts, and then come to this chapter. You get 100% clarity. Clear? So let us start with the chapter chemical bonding. And this is the most fundamental chapter of chemistry. If you can understand this particular chapter, I think you can understand any other chapter that is there in the chemistry. So the chapter is very simple, very basic actually. So it's all about how chemical compounds are formed. See, in a day-to-day life, we see so many chemicals. We see, we touch, we feel so many chemicals around us, isn't it? And in fact, we ourselves is a group of chemicals, I can say. Our skin is a chemical. Each and every organ has the elements, so-called elements, isn't it? So, how these chemicals are formed? See, you all have an idea about an elements, isn't it? So elements are the pure substances which are naturally present in our nature, and natural or artificial elements together we have around 118 elements, and all 118 elements are very beautifully placed in a periodic table according to their properties, isn't it? So these 118 elements which are there in our nature are not entirely stable. All the elements are not stable. Now a big question comes to your mind that what do you mean by stability? Isn't it? So I just now told that not all the elements or atoms are stable in our nature. So what do you mean by stability? Right? So we will come to know little later. Don't worry about this. Right? And these elements will participate in chemical reactions because they are not stable. Stable in the sense just a state of happiness. Okay, say for time being you can stick to this particular concept, stability in the sense a state of happiness. See, most of the atoms are not happy. Okay, they are not happy with whatever electrons they have. Atom in the sense, definitely electrons would be there. Okay, and a chemical reaction is nothing but a business of electrons, guys. Okay, so in a normal language, what do you mean by business? Some people give money, we take money, lending money, borrowing money, right? It's all about a money. So here, in case of chemistry, chemical reaction is all about electrons, giving electrons, taking electrons, sharing electrons. So it's all about the electrons. Say, the atom is not stable in the sense, atom is not happy with the electrons it has. So when the atom is not happy with the electrons it has, it will try to take electrons to become happy sometimes. It will try to lose its electrons sometimes to become happy. Sometimes it will try to share the electrons with others to make itself happy. Clear? So this is all about a chemical reaction. So because the atoms or elements are not happy in our nature, many of the elements or atoms, they participate in chemical reaction, right? Atoms combine with each other to form a stable molecules. Say for example, we have a molecule like water. It is highly stable molecule. It's very happy molecule, guys. The molecule is very happy with the electrons it has. And another molecule, NH3, that is ammonia. This is also very happy molecule, right? But how did this water form? The water has formed by the combination of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom, isn't it? In a similar way, ammonia has formed by the combination of one nitrogen atom with three hydrogen atoms, isn't it? And these hydrogen atoms, oxygen atoms, when present separately, they are not happy, they are not stable. Oxygen alone in our nature, when it is present as O atom, single atom, it is not happy, it is not at all stable. Hydrogen also when present single, it is not at all happy. Since both of them are not happy when they are separately present, to make themselves happy, they will combine with each other and they will form a stable molecule called water. And hydrogen and oxygen both are very happy when they stay together. They share a kind of attraction. Okay, you have a force of attraction between the two hydrogens and oxygen. That's the reason water is H2O. You cannot separate hydrogen from oxygen in a water. It's very difficult, because if you try to separate them, they will become single atoms and again they will become unhappy, isn't it? So why they have combined, guys? To make themselves stable, to become happier in life, right? So stable molecules are formed when atoms combine. Clear? So how the molecule is stable? Why you cannot separate? Once water is formed, you cannot separate hydrogen from oxygen. It's because they have a kind of attraction between them. Okay, say ammonia is a very stable molecule, but nitrogen alone is not stable. Hydrogen alone is not stable. Okay, so they will combine with each other to make themselves stable. So a stable molecule like ammonia is formed. And you cannot easily separate nitrogen from hydrogen here, right? Because between them, between nitrogen and hydrogen, you have a kind of attraction, guys. And this attraction is called as chemical bond. Okay, so in the chemistry language, attraction is called with the name bond, B-O-N-D, bond. So the bond means just an attraction, right? So attraction between two atoms or more than two atoms. That attraction holds the atom together in a stable molecule. Imagine if that attraction is not there between hydrogen and oxygen of water. Will the water molecule stay together? Right? Hydrogen can be separated from oxygen. It's because of the attraction existed, both are staying together and you get a stable molecules, happier molecules in our nature. Right? So this is what we call a chemical bond. Now, can we write a definition for chemical bond? So what is a chemical bond here? An attraction between the two or more atoms. It is this attraction. That holds the atoms together in a stable molecule. in a stable molecule. Okay, so this is what we call it as chemical bond, right? So, and now what we are mainly going to discuss in a chapter is a slight introduction. Now we have already got to know what do you mean by a chemical bond, isn't it? So how is that attraction created between two atoms? I told you, since they are not stable, they are combining with each other to become stable, I told. So what do you mean by stability? When do you call an element or atom is stable? When do you call an atom is unstable? So what is the rule for stability? What is the main driving force behind calling a molecule stable or an atom stable? That's what we are going to discuss in our introductory class. Okay, and after that, in the chapter, you are going to study the types of chemical bonds. Types of chemical bonds. Okay. There are different types of attractions, here the bond is nothing but attraction, I told you. Depending on the different types of attractions created, we have different types of chemical bonding, right? And the first one is ionic bond. Ionic bond, okay, or it is also called as electrovalent bond. Electrovalent bond. And the next one is covalent bond. Covalent bond. And the third and very special type of bonding, you don't observe this kind of bonding in most of the molecules. Very few molecules shows this special bonding, that is coordinate bonding. Coordinate bond. So in the chapter we are going to study each and every bond in detail. How an ionic bond is formed, what type of molecules show ionic bonding, what is the type of attraction in a molecule, what is the property of those compounds, everything in detail we are going to study one by one. Okay, so the chapter is all about these three different types of bonding to be studied in detail. Yeah, and now I am going to tell you when do an atom or element is stable. Okay, so can you all able to remember the periodic table that you have studied in the first chapter? Say, let me just give you an outline of periodic table, right? See how many groups you have. You have groups right from 1 to 18, isn't it? So 18 groups you have in your periodic table. And I will talk about the elements that come in 18th group. Can you able to recall what elements that come in 18th group? The very first element you see here is helium, isn't it? Next one is neon, argon, right? Xenon, krypton, radon, right? So xenon, krypton, radon, So these are the 18th group elements that you observe in a periodic table. And among the 118 elements, it is said that this group of elements are highly stable in nature. Highly stable in nature. So what do you mean by stability? It's very happy with whatever electrons it has. So when do you say that an element is happy? Like how many electrons are necessary for an element to stay in a stable condition or in a happier condition? That I am going to tell you now. Okay. See here, can you able to recall the electronic configuration of helium? Helium, atomic number 2, isn't it? So what is its electronic configuration? 1s2, or you will just learn it as 2, right? So it has only one shell, that is the first shell, K shell, and in the last shell is the first shell only here. So how many electrons it has? Only 2 electrons it has. Okay, say in case in the last shell, if an element shows only 2 electrons, then it is said to be a stable electronic configuration. You know, this is a stable electronic configuration. This is a rule for stability, guys. This is actually called as duplet configuration, which is very stable, very stable. Okay, so if any element has an electronic configuration which is quite similar to helium, then you can say that particular element or atom is very stable. Okay, say for example, you have an element hydrogen. So can you tell me what is the electronic configuration of hydrogen? It is 1s1, guys. Right? Say hydrogen is not stable because, you know, in the last shell it is not having 2 electrons just like helium. Right? So we say hydrogen is not stable. So it will eagerly wait for a chemical reaction. It eagerly waits to participate in a chemical reaction to gain that stability. How can it gain a stability? By having 1 electron, right? If you can add 1 electron to hydrogen orbit, you know, its electronic configuration can be exactly similar to helium, right? Then the hydrogen is said to be stable, right? So this is the reason why atoms participate in a chemical reaction. Okay, they just participate to get that stability. So when do you call an atom is stable? When certain elements, if they can show an electronic configuration similar to helium, if it is having a duplet electronic configuration, then it is said to be stable. Okay, so you can decide whether an atom is stable or not just by looking at electronic configuration, guys. Okay, so in the last shell, if you have 2 electrons, you know, sometimes it can be said as a stable. That means if it is having this duplet electronic configuration, then an atom is said to be stable. So if you want to learn how to write an electronic configuration in this form, like 1s2, 2s2, for that also I have a beautiful trick where the link is shared in a description box. You can just visit there and click the link. You will get that easiest trick to learn electronic configuration you will get. Okay, fine. And now another rule is there. This is one rule for stability. Okay, another rule is there to tell an atom is stable or unstable. That is, see, you have another element under 18th group, that is neon, right? So let me write neon here. Can you tell me what is its electronic configuration? Atomic number of neon is 10. Electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, isn't it? Or, you know, you can also write the electronic configuration as 2, 8, right? So in the last shell, which is the last shell here? Second shell. How many electrons are there? 6 plus 2, that is 8 electrons are there. Okay, so in the last shell, I'll write here, in a last shell, if 8 electrons are there, then it is said to be stable. It is said to be stable, guys. Okay, so this particular electronic configuration, if you observe in the last shell can be third shell, fourth shell, fifth shell, or anything. In the last shell, you know, if you have 8 electrons, then it is said to be having a stable electronic configuration. Then that particular element or atom is said to be stable. Okay, it is happy with whatever electrons it has, right? Say this particular electronic configuration is called octet configuration. It is called octet configuration. Okay, so neon is very happy, guys. Okay, it is very happy with whatever electrons it has. That's the reason these guys, just like neon, argon also is very stable because its last electronic configuration is 3s2 3p6. Okay, whereas the last shell has 8 electrons. So argon is also very stable element. Likewise, xenon, krypton, radon, all are stable in our nature because in their last shell you will have that octet configuration, that is they have 8 electrons. Okay, except helium, all the noble gases right from neon to radon, all of them have 8 electrons in the last shell. This is another rule for telling about stability. Okay, so now you have an element called sodium, guys. Okay, can you tell me what is the electronic configuration of sodium? Atomic number is 11. Its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, right? And 3s1, or in a simple way you can write it as 2, 8, 1. Okay, can I call sodium a stable element or stable atom? Definitely no. Why? Because which is the last shell? Third shell. How many electrons it has? 1 electron it has. What is the rule for stability? It should have 8 electrons in the last shell, whereas it is not having 8 electrons in the last shell but has 1 electron. Can you all tell that it is a stable atom? Definitely no. So what it will do to gain a stability? What it will do to get that stability? It will participate in a chemical reaction. So chemical reaction is all about giving electron, taking electron, or sharing electron to gain stability. So how does this sodium get stability? See, if it can lose this 1 electron, then its electronic configuration can be 2, 8, isn't it? So when its electronic configuration is 2, 8, it is exactly similar to neon's electronic configuration. Then that point of time, sodium can stay in a happier condition. Okay, so that's the reason sodium always during a chemical reaction, it will try to lose the electron. Okay, because this last electron, whatever is there, no, that is making sodium unhappy. So what it will do, it will always try to lose that last electron, because if it can lose that last electron, it will get a happier electronic configuration, that is octet configuration. It can have 8 electrons in the last shell. Right? So once this 1 electron goes, now the last shell will be second shell. It has 8 electrons, right? 6 plus 2, 8. So this is how atoms participate in a chemical reaction. Right? So all atoms participate in a chemical reaction just to gain that stability, guys. Since they are not happy with whatever electrons they have, just they will try to lose electrons to be happy, to get stable, or they will try to gain electrons sometimes, or they will try to share the electrons. So this is all about a chemical bonding. So now, can you all able to answer to a question, right? So if I ask you a question, why do a chemical bond is formed? Okay, why do an atoms participate in a chemical reaction? Then what is your answer, guys? Can you all post the answer in a comment box? And I'll also repeat now. The answer for this question is, the elements participate in a chemical reaction. So a chemical bond is formed between the atoms. Why? Just to attain stability. Just to gain that stability. Clear? So how do you say an atom or element is stable, guys? The rule is here. If an element has an electronic configuration similar to helium, or if an element has an electronic configuration similar to neon and other guys, then that atom can be said as stable in nature. Okay, just to satisfy that condition, just to attain that particular octet configuration or duplet configuration, atoms participate in a chemical reaction. Okay, and attraction is created between the two atoms when they participate in a chemical reaction by losing or gaining electrons, so that's what we call a chemical bond. Clear, everybody? So this is the basic introduction of a chemical bond and why actually a chemical bond is formed. Okay, so what is the rule behind stability? Why various atoms participate in a chemical reaction to get a stable molecules, So this is what the basic concept that you should remember, and you should never ever forget this concept. Say just because these guys are stable and they are happy with whatever electrons they have, all these noble gases, right from helium to krypton, radon, they won't participate in any chemical reaction, guys. Okay, they don't require a chemical reaction. They won't like to combine with another element only, because they are already happy with whatever electrons they have. They don't want to lose electron, they don't want to gain electron, they don't want to share their electrons. Actually, if they lose, gain or share electrons, their stability will get disturbed, isn't it? So no one will like to, disturb their own stability, right? So that's the reason they will never participate in a chemical reactions. All other elements can participate in a chemical reaction just to get that duplet configuration or octet configuration. Okay, so this is the basic introduction about a chapter, and now let us go for studying the types of chemical bonding. Under that, in today's lecture, I will deal the entire aspects about the ionic bond. Clear? So let us start the ionic bond. See guys, ionic bond, quite a stable bond, very strong bond I can say. So what do you mean by an ionic bond? First let us try to write its definition. Ionic bond is that bond or attraction. Bond is nothing but attraction, I told you, isn't it? Attraction between the two atoms, and which is formed, this particular attraction which is formed by transfer of electrons from one atom to another, Say it is a bond or attraction between two atoms. Imagine this is one atom and this is another atom. Okay, so this is attraction between the two atoms. How is this attraction formed, guys? By transfer of electrons. This guy has some electrons. Even this atom will be having some electrons. So one atom gives electrons, another atom takes that electron. One is giving electron, another one is taking that electron. Okay, so this is how. Why this guy has to give electron? Because maybe by giving an electron, it can attain stability. Why this guy has to take an electron? Because maybe by taking that electron, it can have that octet configuration, right? It can attain stability. That's the reason one is giving electron, other one is taking electron, right? So attraction created between the two atoms by transfer of electrons from one atom to another atom. Such an attraction, if it is there in a molecule, then such a molecule or compound is called ionic compound or electrovalent compound, and that attraction itself we will call it as ionic bond or electrovalent bond. Okay, and now this ionic bond can be formed between certain set of elements, guys. All elements do not have this attraction. Okay, see, to form this attraction, one atom has to lose electron, the other atom has to take electron. Now the big question mark is, what type of an atoms lose electron, what type of an atoms gain electron, right? So this is very much essential to understand. So here I am going to tell you certain points which are very, very, very important. Clear? The first and foremost, metals. Okay, what do you mean by metals? Electropositive elements. Electropositive elements. Always metals or electropositive elements always loses electrons. Okay, loses electrons to attain stability. Why they have to lose electrons, guys? Because if they can lose one or more electrons, they can have that stable electronic configuration in the last shell, right? They can satisfy that octet configuration. They can become just like the noble gases by having the electronic configuration similar to noble gases, right? So that's the reason the elements loses electrons. What type of an elements or atoms loses electrons? Metals. The so-called metals always loses electrons. Okay, so why they lose electrons? To attain stability. To attain stability. Okay, I'll tell you what elements are metals here. Clear? So the second point is non-metals. Non-metals always gain electrons. Gain, that means they take electrons. Again, why they take electrons? Because just by taking one or two electrons, they can have that octet electronic configuration in the last shell. Yeah, so that's the reason they gain electrons to attain stability. To attain stability. Very, very important point. So non-metals are actually called as electronegative elements. They are electronegative elements. Clear? Fine. And now the big question here is, in a periodic table, among 118 or 20 elements, which are called as metals and which are called as non-metals? Very simple. Okay, see the elements of group 1 and 2. What elements come under group 1? You have hydrogen, that is exception, leave it. Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. Second group, beryllium, right? Magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium. Okay, so all these guys, as well as again in the 13th group, you have certain elements called, aluminium, and the elements which come in this particular area, that mean in the group 3 to group 12. Okay, so almost all these guys are said to be metals. Okay, that means all these guys have an ability to lose the electrons during a chemical reaction. Okay, so they can combine with another atom. How they can combine? By losing an electron. By losing an electron. So that way they participate in a chemical reaction. Clear? And now, which elements are called non-metals? The elements right from 14th group to 17th group, guys. 18th group, all noble gases. all stable elements, yes or no? They will never participate in a chemical reaction, I already told you, because they are happy with whatever electrons they have. Okay, and now see 14th group, what elements will come? Carbon, silicon, and 15th group, nitrogen, phosphorus, here oxygen, sulfur, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, all these elements which are coming in 14th to 17th group, all these are called as non-metals. Okay, so metals are always electropositive. What do you mean by electropositive? Ability to lose the electrons. These guys have an ability to lose the electrons. Okay, so that's why we call them as electropositive elements. And the non-metals are electronegative. Electronegative in the sense what? They have an ability to take the electrons from others. They have an ability to take the electrons from others. So these guys give electron and those will take the electron. So ionic bond is a concept of transferring of electrons. One element gives and that electron was taken up by another element, right? So ionic bond is always formed between a metal and a non-metal. Okay, so the next point I would like to write here is ionic bond. Ionic bond always formed between a metal, that is the most electronegative element, and a non-metal, that is the most electropositive element and the most electronegative element. Right? So between them, whatever attractions are formed, that is what we will call it as ionic bond. Now, let us see a few examples here. Let us first talk about like how an element is losing an electron. After losing an electron, what do you call that atom as? You actually do not call those things as atoms. You call them as ions. Okay, so these things we will discuss, and later we will discuss how actually ionic bond is getting formed, right? Fine. So what I just now told is metals always loses electrons, I said, right? Say one example I will show here. Sodium is there. Atomic number 11. What is its electronic configuration? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1, right? I can write it as 2, 8, 1, right? And in nature, this particular sodium is not stable, right? So definitely it eagerly waits for a reaction to happen. It waits somebody to come near because it is willing to give its last electron, because this is no more required for this sodium. If it can lose this last electron, it can have 8 electrons in the last shell, whereas that is the rule for stability. Yes or no? So that indicates the stability, right? So sodium always loses an electron. So how do you show that losing electron? See, one electron it will lose. One electron is coming outside. After one electron comes outside from sodium, then sodium is no more called as an atom. It will become an ion, and in the ion I will represent positive sign. Okay, I will call it as cation. I will call it as cation. Okay, so whenever a metal loses electron, after losing, then that element or atom is not called as a neutral atom now, because one negative charge it has lost. Yes or no? One negative charge has lost. Then which charges are more in that atom? Positive charges. So atom is always neutral, right? See, say if you have 11 protons inside the nucleus, you will have 11 electrons surrounding the nucleus. Number of protons is equal to number of electrons. Protons are positively charged, electrons are negatively charged. Isn't it? So, atom is always neutral. But now what has happened? One electron came out, guys. Now, this atom is not neutral, right? So, which charges are more? Positive charges are more in atom or negative charges are more? Positive charges are more, no? So, that's the reason we indicate positive sign above the symbol of an element. Okay, and this we will call it as sodium cation. Okay, so what you have to remember is once a metal loses electrons, it becomes positively charged ion. It becomes positively charged ion. We call that as cation. Okay. And now, what is the electronic configuration of Na plus, guys? One electron is lost, Na. Now, what is its electronic configuration? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. Yes or no? In other words, I can write it as 2, 8. Now, this is stable. So, among sodium and Na plus, sodium plus, who is stable? Na plus is stable. So, always our sodium likes to stay in the form of Na plus in our nature. Okay. So, sodium as a neutral atom is not stable in a nature. It eagerly waits for a reaction to happen. It eagerly waits to lose this electron because to achieve stability. So once it gets an opportunity to lose electron, it will lose electron and after that it will become Na plus. So our sodium happily likes to stay in the form of Na plus, that is in the form of cation. Yeah. So now you got to know what do you mean by ion. Ions are two types. One is cation, other one is anion. Now we have seen the formation of cation. Next, we will see the formation of anion, right? Negative ion. See, positive ion we have observed. Next, we will learn how a negative ions can be formed. Coming to example 2, here we will learn how an element takes an electron. Okay, fine. See, I will take an example of fluorine here. Fluorine, atomic number 9. Electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. That is 2, 7. Is it stable, guys? Not. It's not stable because you see in the last shell, how many electrons you have? 7 electrons you have. How it can become stable? By accepting one electron, right? If I can give one electron to this fluorine, it will get an electronic configuration 2, 8. Then this is stable condition. So, fluorine also very reactive element. It also eagerly waits for a reaction to occur. It waits like who will give an electron to him, right? So once somebody is there to give an electron, it will grab that electron towards itself, because if it can get that one electron, it can get that stable electronic configuration. Clear? So how do you show that taking electron thing? F plus 1 electron, right? So accepting electron, no? So I have written it in the left hand side, reactant side. Fluorine is accepting electron. So here you see losing electron, that 1 electron thing, I wrote it in the product side because sodium is losing, it is giving out electron outside. Okay, after giving out 1 electron, it is becoming Na plus. So both of them I represented in the product side, right side. but here it is taking, right, one electron. So you have to represent this in the reactant side, that is left hand side. So after taking one electron, this F is not neutral, right? It will get some charge above. So which is the charge it gets above? Negative charge. I will call it as F minus. And now this is a negative ion. Negative ion is called as anion. Negatively charged ion. Negatively charged ion is called anion. Clear, everybody? So why I have put a negative charge? You all are very well knows that, say, number of protons are equal to the number of electrons. Say fluorine, if it is having 9 electrons, inside the nucleus 9 protons would be there. Positive charges are equal to the negative charges, atom is neutral. But now what has happened, guys? From outside, one more electron has come. So, which charges are more in case of fluorine atom? Positive charges or negative charges? Electron is a negative charged guy. So, one extra negative charged guy has come into the house of fluorine, isn't it? So, that's the reason we represent anions with a negative sign. Clear? So, negatively charged ion is called, anion. Positively charged ion is called cation. Right? And now, when, okay, like how did it get this one electron, guys? To get one electron, somebody has to lose an electron, right? Who is that somebody? Metals. So whenever you bring metal closer to a non-metal, whenever you bring metal closer to a non-metal, then the compound that is formed is called ionic compound. Ionic compound. Got it? So what happens whenever you bring a metal closer with a non-metal? Metal always loses electron and it becomes cation. Okay? And non-metal always gains electron and it becomes anion. And now that cation actually combines with anion, right, to form this ionic compound. So how did you get cation? You got cation from metal. How did you get anion? Anion you got it from non-metal, right? So how did you get cation? When a metal lost electron. How did you get anion? When a metal gained electron. Now, cation is a positively charged one, anion is a negatively charged one. So, whenever a positively charged species has brought closer to a negatively charged species, definitely an attraction is possible, no? Because of those attractions, okay, that attraction is called electrostatic force of attraction. What do you call that attraction? Between a positive and negatively charged guy? Electrostatic force of attraction. Okay, and that itself we will call it as ionic bond. Clear, everybody? So what I can write a definition for ionic bond, like in another sense also we can explain about ionic bond. So electrostatic force of attraction exists present between positive ion, that is cation, and anion. Okay, so these guys will stay together and that molecule we will call it as ionic compound. Say for example, sodium, whenever I brought sodium closer to a fluorine, sodium would lose an electron, it has become Na+, isn't it? And fluorine gained electron and it is become F-. So, Na and F minus. Na is positively charged guy, F minus is a negatively charged guy. So when both of them come near, attraction is created. So both of them will stay together and we will call it as sodium fluoride. Sodium fluoride. And this is what we call it as ionic compound. Because between them, between sodium and fluorine, what bond is there guys? This bond is ionic bond. Okay? Ionic bond. So what is that ionic bond? A bond is nothing but attraction. That attraction has a name. What is that attraction? Electrostatic force of attraction. Okay? Electrostatic force of attraction. Okay? Exists between cation and anion. Okay, so this you should never ever forget. So how is the cation formed? By losing electron. How is the anion formed? By gaining electron, right? So this guy is losing, that electron is taken up by this fluorine. This is why we call it as transfer of electrons. Okay, because electrons have transferred, ions are created, an attraction is possible between positive and negative charges, right? Negative things, and that attraction we call it as electrostatic force of attraction. This is what we call it as ionic bond. Clear? And now let us study the few examples of forming ionic bond or ionic compounds. And the compounds so called, we call it as ionic compound. Okay, fine. And one more, two important words I'll give you. Try to remember. This losing of electrons, this is nothing but a chemical process only. Electron losing, electron gaining, this is also a chemical process only. This chemical process has a name, guys, and we call this chemical process as oxidation. Okay, what do we call it as? Oxidation. What do you mean by oxidation? Loss of electrons. This is the short symbol for writing electrons. Okay, so loss of electrons is called oxidation. It is called oxidation. Okay, so losing electrons and gaining electron is also a chemical process only. It's like a chemical reaction only, right? I told you, chemical reaction is all about losing and gaining electrons. So that chemical process name is oxidation. So whenever a metal is losing an electron, then that process is said to be oxidation, right? So after losing an electron, it will become what ion, guys? Positive ion, that is cation. Remember. And always this process, whenever an atom gains electron, then such a process is called reduction. Reduction in the sense what? Gaining electrons. Gaining electrons, right? So whenever an atom gains electron, you know what ion is formed? Negatively charged ion, that is anion is formed. So this is all about the basic introduction about ionic bond. So what exactly is the meaning of ionic bond? How it is formed, right? Between metals and non-metals. So what do you mean by losing of electrons? What do you mean by gaining of electrons? What is cation? What is anion? How they are formed? And you know what is the difference between atom and ion? Atom is always neutral, but ion is always charged. Yes or no? So whenever ions combine, attraction is possible. Okay, atoms combine, compound is formed, no doubt, but atoms are becoming ions initially. Ions are combining, so you are getting a compound, isn't it? So this is what you have to remember. Atoms are always neutral, guys. Ions are always charged. Either it can have a positive charge. How do you get positive charged ions? when an atom loses electron. When do you get a negatively charged ion? When an atom gains an electron, right? So this is the main basic introduction and the necessary basics one must remember about ionic bond. So in my next video, let us talk about formation of ionic compounds. Okay, we have certain examples in the syllabus like formation of NaCl, formation of calcium oxide and formation of magnesium chloride, their dot structures, right? So all of them we are going to discuss in the next video. Till then, take care, keep revising the concept, and if you like our video, please like, share and subscribe our channel to learn the concepts in the easiest way and in a detailed way. Thank you so much.